Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we have a second lecture in the series of English Criticism, course code 454. And last lecture we discussed different theories of literary criticism. And these theories of literary criticism ranged from basic philosophy to mimetic philosophy. It focused on the psychological element of literature. It also focused on the concept of morality in literature. So let me give you a recap of what we studied previously. In the last lecture, we discussed what literature is. So we found out that literature is an imitation of life. Literature is written, literature is a form of art. And literary criticism, of course, in return, is something that would discuss, that would evaluate, that would appreciate that particular piece of literature that has been written in an imitation of life. So how do you appreciate a piece of literature? How do you appreciate a story? How do you appreciate a novel? How do you appreciate a poem, for that matter? So for doing that, people have given you a number of theories. I told you about those theories, and these theories range from, the first one was the historical or the biographical approach. The historical and the biographical approach, as the name suggests in itself, was dealing with the history of the writer, or the history of the author, or the history of the poet, or the background in which it was written, the time period in which the piece of literature was written. We had mimetic approach of literary criticism. The mimetic approach told you that that literature was an imitation of life. So how accurate it is in representing the life of the time period in which it lived, in which it was written, the character lived or the author lived. And is that correct? Is it how people really behave in a particular situation? We also discussed the philosophical approach of literary criticism, the moralical approach of literary criticism, moral approach of literary criticism. These people who believe in this philosophy, they say that everything written or every piece of art or every piece of literature should have something moral in it. It should be instructive. Though the primary purpose of literature is to entertain, but it should also instruct. Plato is a big name here, Horace is a big name here, Alexander Pope believed in that. But not all people believe in that. They believe that if literature is only instructing, then you are ruining the purpose of literature. It is there to entertain you, to make you more aesthetically activated. Then we studied the feministic approach. The feministic approach was about women literature, the literature written by women and for women. And this kind of literature, this kind of critical appreciation was good because it brought female literature from, one corner of the room to the mainstream. But it also made it a little political. It made literary criticism a little political because they started fighting about the women's rights and all that. So we have several theories, and we discussed those theories previously when we had this lecture about the theories of literary criticism, like Ellen Showalter's theory when she said that there are three phases in the development of a character. First, she becomes a feminine stage, then there is a feminist stage, and then she becomes a female when she's fully developed and autonomous and has discovered herself. Then we have discussed the psychological approach, and in psychological approach of literary criticism, we had two schools of thoughts, the Freudian school of thought and the Jungian school of thought. Jung is J-U-N-G, Jung. It's not Jung कि आप इसको कोई Y से spell करना शुरू कर दें. The Freudian school of thought is, high and good upon symbolism, and it tends to see sex a lot in all of the things they, write in all of the literary works. So they have this Oedipus complex, they believe in Electra complex, they believe in different stages of child development, which are also sex-related. The Jungian school of thought would focus on the individualization process. They believe that every individual has three phases. One is the animal self, the negative character. The second is the social self. And the third is the soul, which is usually created by the heroine in a novel. We have structuralism, we have new criticism, we have deconstruction. There's so many literary theories, and we've already discussed them in detail. So, moving on, we have to start studying the way different philosophers have appreciated literature. So whenever we start discussing philosophy, the first names that come into mind are Plato and Aristotle and Socrates. These are big names. Even if you have not read much of this literature, Urdu में भी ये नाम बहुत दफा आते हैं, Aristo, Socrates, Aflatun. So we are going to study them. We are going to start this lecture with Plato. Plato को क्या कहते हैं उर्दू में? अफलातून. अच्छा जी, तो Plato was the teacher of Socrates. Plato को हम क्यों पढ़ेंगे? क्योंकि Plato ने एक बुक लिखी और उस बुक का नाम था The Republic. Republic क्या थी? कि this was a book about an ideal state. And what was the purpose of that ideal state? The ideal state was to provide an ideal situation for human beings to live in. It should have everything that is ideal. It should have justice, truth, beauty, goodness, virtue. And then the whole book goes on. The book contains 10 smaller books, or chapters for that matter. The book is a dialogue between Socrates and his interlocutors, that is his opponents. He poses a question, they give him an answer, and the dialogue continues. So let's discuss Plato. Plato's life. Plato was born in Athens. Athens कहाँ है? Rome में. He was born in 428 BC, that is before Christ. So when you are moving from before, you counting the dates in before Christ, आपने पीछे की तरफ नहीं जाना होता. आपने 428 से आप 427 BC पे जाएंगे, फिर 427 से 426 BC पे जाएंगे. Time moves like this in BC. AD में तो आगे की तरफ move करता है, BC में पीछे की तरफ move करता है. So he was born in 428 BC in Athens. He belonged to an aristocratic family. He was a rich man's son, and he was a rich man's nephew. He was a rich man's, son-in-law for that matter. So this man, he had very good connections with the Athenian political situation. And his connections, his family background, the wealth that he had, gave him good chances to proceed in the political life. So he had political aspirations. He wanted to be good in political background. He had good social background for that matter. जैसे हमारे यहाँ होता है कि जिसकी family strong है, जिसकी political background hai, that person tends to go in that direction, of course. But this is not what happened. What happened was that there was a war between Athens and Sparta. The two states in Rome. ठीक है, ये पहले एक अलग-अलग मुल्कों के तौर पे treat होते थे. So Athens and Sparta, they fought, and the war is known as Peloponnesian War. And as the end of this Peloponnesian War, the two groups, Athens lost this war, and as a result of that loss, as a result of that battle, Athens made two groups. They became powerful. These groups are known as 400 and 30. दोनों अलग-अलग हैं. एक का नाम 400 है और एक का नाम 30 है. Now, when they came into being, they were, after they've lost a war, तो reaction में, they had certain tyrannical leanings. Plato had political aspirations, but because of these two groups, he didn't feel very, comfortable with the idea of, going into power and doing politics and all that. He had mixed feeling about the takeover. And because of this 430, these two groups, as they had tyrannical leaning, it means कि वो dictatorship के उसमें थे, and they wanted to control the power. And because of these two groups, they were constantly fighting with each other, so there was political instability. And as a result of that political instability, Plato was not very much keen into politics. So what happens is that Plato started favoring democracy. Democracy आजकल भी कितनी मशहूर है. हम सबको, we want a democratic government, and we are trying to celebrate the democracy which have been in practice in Pakistan for the 5 years. So Plato, he was also in favor of democracy. So he wanted democracy to continue. But what happens? इसी democratic government में जो कि Athens में कायम हुई, his mentor, his teacher, Socrates, had to stand in front of a jury of 500 Athenians, and he was sentenced to death. It's very famous. He was sentenced to death, and he was forced to drink a cup of poison, and he died because of that poison. Why was he punished? There are reasons, but the most important reason at that point was people who were in favor of Socrates उसकी political allies जो थे, they were out of favor. And because there was no one to support him politically, to, you know, subdue voices that were rising against Socrates, he was sentenced to death. And what was the accusation? As they could not punish anyone who was raising questions about the government, as it was a democracy, and in a democracy you can say whatever you want, you have the freedom of speech. But they could not do that. So what was the accusation on him? He was accused, number one, the charges against him were not recognizing the gods of the city. पहला इल्ज़ाम तो उस पे ही आया. Why? Because, you know, Socrates said that sun is not the center of the solar system, और उस पे फिर मुसीबत आ गई थी. He questioned the gods that general people and the government they believed in. He also said that there should be some other gods as well, and he introduced certain new deities. Deities are gods, semi-gods, demigods. And he was also charged with corrupting the youth of Athens. How did he corrupt the youth of Athens? He used to stand in the marketplace and he used to question people. And the young people who are there, who are trying to form their own mind about certain things, they used to stand with him in the form of a circle, and they used to argue about philosophy, they used to argue about different questions, they used to argue about love, the nature of life, the nature of soul, about what life is all about, and things like that. So these people, these politicians, they formed these accusations. Actual story was something else. They thought he was a threat and he was against whatever was happening in the government at that time. I'm going to give you the historical background later on, a little bit later on. But this was the reasons they invented. कि ये हमारे खुदाओं को झूठा कहते हैं, ये अपने कुछ खुदा बना लेता है, और ये हमारे नौजवानों को गुमराह कर रहा है. ठीक है, ये 3 reasons थे जिसकी वजह से they made Socrates drink a bowl of poison. Socrates was the teacher of Plato. He was the mentor. He was the one who taught Plato everything. And for that reason, Plato was greatly influenced, was greatly devastated at Socrates' death. Uski death ke baad, Plato started to take on his mission. He continued with whatever Socrates was trying to do. And he formed an academy in 387 BC. And in the city of Athens. और वहाँ पे क्या होता था कि वो subjects वो students को पढ़ाता था, and he used to talk about stuff that Socrates used to talk about standing in the marketplace, like metaphysics, like epistemology, like ethics, politics, natural and mathematical sciences. All these things were the subject matter of this academy. This academy was the first model on which the Western universities nowadays are formed. This academy continued in one form or the other form for almost 912 years. And Plato stayed in that academy, except for, I think, 2 times when he had to leave to Sicily, where he tried to form a government of his own, something like that. Uski academy ke baad, jis waqt he was near his death time, he wrote this book, Republic. So there's a historical background of that book. You have to keep in mind कि जब early Greece में जो philosophers होते थे ना, उनका काम क्या होता था? उनका काम होता था, they used to deal with the philosophies of life, the natural philosophies. They were not much concerned with the morality. Morality was something that the poets used to deal with. They were the ones who were going to talk about how man should behave, whether he should be truthful, whether he should lie, whether he should not lie, whether he should be honest, he should not be honest. This is the way you should deal with your family, this is the way you should deal with your parents, this is the way you should deal with the people who you work with, how honest you should be while you're working, all these things. Ye poets control kar rahe the. Philosophers were, you know, focusing on the bigger questions of life. The bigger questions of life I've already told you about. What is life? They used to answer questions about natural sciences. How did they do that? They would observe the climate, they would observe the sun, they would observe the sky, they would answer questions about the universe in such. Right? अभी भी जब PhD की डिग्री आप देते हैं तो that's doctorate of philosophy. चाहे वो PhD maths में है या वो PhD जो है वो physics में है या वो astrophysics में है, it's a PhD in philosophy. Till now, till present time, philosophy deals with these questions of natural sciences as well. Morality of the society was not the headache of philosophers in the early Greece. But something happened. Because of that something, philosophers were forced to take it. People with logic, people with reason, they had to focus their attention towards morality because things were somehow going downhill. Poets were cast aside and philosophers, they came forward. In the 5th century BC, we've already talked about the Peloponnesian War. After the Peloponnesian War, what happened? The Athens, they were quite disheartened. They said that we have lost a war. It means that our warcraft was not enough. There should be something else. As a result of that defeat, there was a democracy in Athens, right? So democracy means assemblies, democracy means senate, democracy means debates, democracy means presenting a bill, people arguing over that piece of paper and, deciding, going for it, against it, and finally the bill coming out in the form of a law. This is what happens in a parliament, no? So the war between Athens and Sparta shifted the focus. It shifted the focus from warcraft towards rhetorics. The ability to speak persuasively then came into fashion. People focused their attention on this art. तकरीर करने के फन पे, लॉजिक पे, मंतक पे, इन चीज़ों पे इम्पोर्टेंस जो थी ज़्यादा दी जाने लग गई. तो इशू ऑफ एथिक्स जो है ना फिर फिलोसोफर्स के पास चला गया क्योंकि पोएट्स जो थे वो ये काम करना शुरू हो गए. इस रीज़न की वजह से एक ग्रुप ऑफ टीचर्स बहुत ऑब्वियस होकर सामने आया. इस ग्रुप ऑफ टीचर्स को सोफिस्ट्स कहते हैं. दे आर नोन एज Sophists. They were mercenary teachers. A very cruel term to use, but mercenary is someone who takes money and do something for you. Like mercenary होता है किराए का कातिल जो होता है. He's going to take money, he's going to murder something for you. Someone for you, not something. Someone for you because you've given him the money. So a mercenary teacher would teach you whatever you want him or her to teach you, only and only if you are able to and willing to give the money, right? So the Sophists were not a very, ethically sound people. They were teachers, they were good teachers of logic, good teachers of rhetorics. And they allowed students to come to them for an amount of money and they would teach them. Their focus was on persuasiveness. How well you can, convey whatever you want to say and make the other person agree with whatever you want to say. They have no concern with truth. They do not care whether it's right or wrong. They considered the traditional moral values to be obsolete. The ideas varied. Sometimes they were, focusing on this aspect. Sometimes they were siding the negative aspect. Sometimes they would be focusing on the right aspect. जो पैसे दे दे उसके साथ मिलके वो उसकी बात को सही करने की कोशिश कर देंगे. They were the kind of people who would make you agree to them by virtue of their logic, by virtue of the language they use, that if it's daytime and you tell them it's daytime, but they will be so strong in their logic that they will convince you कि नहीं ये दिन नहीं है ये रात है. They were that kind of people. There was no right and wrong in their esteem, in their thought, but they believed that everything that would serve the purpose. आप चाहते हैं कि ये गाड़ी बिक जाए, तो आप किसी सोफिस्ट को लाएंगे ना, तो वो आपको ये नहीं कहेगा कि ये सही है, इस गाड़ी का एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, जिसको गाड़ी बेच रहे हो उसको बताओ कि इस गाड़ी का एक्सीडेंट हुआ है. He is not concerned with that. He is only concerned with your objective. Your objective is to sell the car. He is going to make sure that he does everything in his power to convince the buyer that this is the best buy of his life, and he's going to do it. They are not concerned with whether doing this is right or doing that is wrong. They did not believe in objective knowledge. They did not believe in objective truth. They scoffed at the idea of objective truth. They scoffed at the idea of objective knowledge. They say that they do not believe that there is an objective knowledge. They say everything is knowledge. आप अगर dancing को knowledge कहना चाहते हैं तो it is knowledge. If you want to say beauty is knowledge, beauty is knowledge. They say there's nothing absolutely true and there's nothing that is absolutely in the form of knowledge. They questioned every traditional view at that time. So these were the Sophists. They believed that conventional morality is unfair. Why is it unfair? Because they believed कि जो powerful आदमी है, it is his right to exploit someone who's not powerful enough. ये इसका मतलब ये है कि उनके ख्याल में जिसके पास पावर है, ये उसका राइट है कि वो अपने से नीचे वाले बंदे को एक्सप्लॉइट करे, उसकी चीजें छीन ले, उससे आगे निकल जाए. ठीक है, जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस वाली बात है. एंड दे ऑल्सो कॉल्ड इमोरैलिटी अ वर्च्यू. Why would they call immorality a virtue? Because they believed that this thing would help you to get ahead in competition. Of course, when you lie to get yourself out of a tricky situation, you avoid the tricky situation. ना? आप अगर चोरी करते हैं और आपके पास कुछ एक्स्ट्रा पैसे आ जाते हैं तो आप बाकी लोगों से बेहतर रहना शुरू हो जाते हैं. ठीक है, हमारे बिलीफ सिस्टम हमें कहता है कि इस तरह करने से you do get, what you deserve sometimes in the end or, in the afterlife. But they didn't believe in any afterlife or something like that. They said that it's a virtue. Be immoral. Do whatever you have to do to get ahead in life's competition. आपने बुरा करना पड़ रहा है, आपको किसी को धोखा देना पड़ रहा है, you have to trample on someone's head, you have to, drag someone down, you have to pull someone's leg. It's all right. If you have to be dishonest, that's all right as well. It's a virtue to cheat someone, to be strong-headed, be stubborn, to be a liar, to be dishonest. Why? Because it helps you to get ahead in the competition in life. इन लोगों के करने से, इन लोगों की बातें करने से क्या हुआ कि Socrates, he was shocked at the society in which he was living. होता है ना, आप एकदम बैठे हैं, you realize what kind of people are living in your society. What are they doing? How do they think? He was shocked at the complacency, the moral complacency of his fellow citizens, of the Athenian citizens. He was shocked that they were living in this haze of unreflectiveness, and he was concerned that they were wasting away their lives thinking and believing that the Sophists were right. He wanted them to think about whatever they were doing. They were believing in Sophists because it helped them in gaining more power. It helped them in accumulating more money. And they had to do whatever they had to do, whether it was right or wrong. And they did, and they justified it with the help of the theories given by the Sophists. The Sophists were very powerful at that time, mind you. And because the theories were very powerful, people generally believed in them. And of course, इसको तो believe करने में कोई मसला नहीं ना, because it's adding to your strength, it's giving you strength somehow. आप गलत काम कर रहे हैं और कोई आपके गलत काम को justify कर रहा है तो आपको तो वो बात पसंद आएगी ना. आप कहेंगे हाँ ये बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहा है, we should do something like this. It's going to help us to move forward. So this was the general atmosphere there. If you focus it, it will help you to understand what led to the argument that Socrates built up. He believed that these Sophists, they were encouraging people to be immoral. And for that reason, he started acting as a dag fly. What's a dag fly? He started stinging. उसने डंकना शुरू कर दिया, डंक मारना शुरू कर दिया. He started pinching the fellow Athenians, trying to, wake them up, trying to startle them into thinking about their lives. He asked them that this unreflected life that they're living, not thinking about what they're doing, not thinking about the purpose of their life, not thinking about whether what they're doing is good or not, but they continued with whatever they were doing. He said that this was not worth living. Life has a purpose. You have to do things that have a meaning, things that are moral. Plato, when he died, Socrates died, Plato took over his mission. And what did he do? He wrote this book. And in this book, the main character was Socrates and his interlocutors. And these interlocutors would then, answer the questions asked by Socrates. Socrates is going to answer those questions. Socrates is going to place a question. He's going to ask a definition from them. They're going to answer. There's a dialogue developing and things like that. This was how he challenged the Sophists at one time. And when he died, because he was challenging them, he was sentenced to death, and Plato carried on with his mission. प्लेटो की फिलॉसफी जो थी ना, उसको आप 3 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करते हैं. एक तो उसकी जो अर्ली डेज की फ़िलासफ़ी थी, ठीक है, जब वो सोक्रेटिस का स्टूडेंट था या सोक्रेटिस की डेथ को ज़्यादा अरसा नहीं गुजरा था, एंड ही वाज ट्राइंग टू कैरी ऑन वट एवर सोक्रेटिस हैड स्टार्टेड. द मिडल पीरियड इज़ अ लिटिल मोर डिफाइंड, it's more refined as well. He was finding his own foot as far as the middle period of his philosophy is concerned. उसने अपना method develop कर लिया था और वो अपने method के हिसाब से आगे चल रहा था. Late period जो था ना, इसमें it's a very varied period, and he has dealt with the most controversial of topics and the most difficult of topics in this later period of time. And because it was so long ago, we do not really know exactly which works have survived, whether they truly belong to Plato or do not. There is controversy, there is a cloud, there is a haze over the entire later period of his life. So let's concentrate on the first period of philosophy, where Socrates was greatly influencing whatever Plato was writing in his books, whatever he was doing in his academy. The early period of philosophy tha, it was soon after Socrates died, so it was greatly influenced by whatever Socrates believed in. Isme, he wrote this book, and in this book he used the method of Elantris. It was a term, it's a Greek term, it's a method with which Socrates used to make his dialogue. Elantris में क्या होता था कि he used to stand in the marketplace, ठीक है? It was a high platform पे खड़ा हो जाता था और उस पे खड़ा होके he used to ask people, what do you think is beauty? And the person standing in front of him would answer, he thinks beauty is this. He would give a definition. Socrates then again questioned him, and he made the question so that he would place the other person's belief, which would be contradicting the definition that he's already given right now. अब इस पे वो बंदा दोबारा सोचता था और वो फिर एक और डेफिनेशन देता था, उसको मॉडिफाई करके, जो उसके बिलीव्स, उसके ख्याल में उसके बिलीव्स के अकॉर्डिंगली होते थे, उसको वो फर्दर क्वेश्चन करता था. होता क्या था इस मेथड में कि जनरली दे यूज्ड टू have so many questions and the answers were so varied that in the end people ended up in being in a situation of intellectual gridlock. They started with a definition, but by the time they reach the end, they have, in a complete lockdown situation. They do not know what they believe anymore. They know that whatever they believed in was wrong, was not applicable anymore because it consigns with their other beliefs, but they know that what they knew was not right. And now they have to find out another definition. Socrates never gave a definition. उसने चीजें हवा में छोड़ी हैं. उसने कभी कोई definition exactly नहीं दी. He didn't tell you what to think. He would force you to think. Not you, but he would force the people of Athens to think, the youth of Athens to think for themselves what they actually believe in. Is it actually worth believing in? Do they believe in it? Do they know that the other beliefs, they aid to it? Do they add to whatever they believe with a certain virtue? So when they reach that intellectual gridlock, the state is known as aporia. Aporia is something when you do not know what to believe in. You know, you have certain questions, you have answer to those questions, but each answer is negating the last answer. You are in a state of extremely strong cultural, intellectual lockdown, and you don't know what to believe. That state is known as aporia. When you know, you do not believe in what you have been believing in for the, most of your life, but you do not know what to believe in now. He said that this is not a futile exercise. अगर हम देखें अभी तो this looks like a zihni ayashi to us, कि you're standing there and you're talking about things, you're not giving anyone any answers, but you just keep constantly questioning them. It means you don't have any answer. You're not that intellectually sound. But Socrates says that this kind of philosophical discourse is never futile. It gives you happiness. It makes you think, and it makes you light in return. It makes you moral because you question yourself. He believes that is tarah you turn a person towards inside, towards the soul searching, and that is the most important thing you can do for a person. So this questioning answering session for him was not a futile activity. Plato liked him, of course, he adapted his method for some time, but he also, because he was a student of Socrates, he did not believe in everything that he said. He also followed his footsteps, and he said everything that Socrates has said is here. Look at it. He laid it out, but he didn't endorse it. This is a very good way of teaching, you know. You tell the person कि ये 2 है, 2 है, 2 है, 2 है, 4 है, 8 है, ये numbers हैं, अब आप आंसर अपना खुद निकाल लें. So this is what they did. उनको बता देते थे ये black है, ये white है, choose for yourself. They didn't tell you what to think. And when you are not told what you think, you are forced to think about things yourself, and then you make your opinions, and the opinions are generally very sound and very compact, and you stick to them because you're convinced of them. आपकी conviction strong होती है जब आप अपनी चीज़ों के बारे में खुद सोचते हैं. अच्छा, फिर उसका middle period start होता है philosophy का. अब जब middle period of philosophy है ना, यहाँ पे he has become a little bit, you know, he has been weaned from Socrates. He is much of an individual right now. So he has developed certain personal views at that time. जो Socrates का तरीकाकार था, उसमें ये था कि he used to make a question, and the question was between the whole conversation or the dialogue होता था, it was between Socrates and one of his opponents. Plato moved from it, and what did he do? He moved it, or he make it a conversation between a student and a teacher. Student सवाल कर रहे हैं, teacher जवाब दे रहे हैं. Later stages में तो students जो हैं वो सवाल भी नहीं करते, बल्कि the teacher is giving a lecture and the students are going to only speak when they have any objection to something that the teacher has said. ठीक है? इस era में he's going to focus on epistemology, he's going to focus on metaphysics, he's going to focus on natural sciences, and he's going to focus on questions like how to live, what is soul, nature, beauty, role of love, the nature of physical world, whether it's true, it's not true. You know these theories, we do question about it. जब आप philosophers को पढ़ते हैं तो सारे philosophers के questions basically इसी तरह के होते हैं. They tend to question what is the purpose of this life on the planet of Earth and वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. Later period of philosophy, I've already told you once that it's very ambiguous, deals with very difficult, very controversial topics. Later period में उसने ये book लिखी थी Laws. And you know, initially he believed in dictatorship, republic में, he believed in dictatorship and republic, but in the later stages when he wrote this book, Laws, he was again leaning towards democracy. It means कि उसकी intellectual growth जो थी वो complete हो गई थी, और शुरू में चूँकि democracy के उसने negative effects देखे थे, because of Socrates' death, he was against it and he wanted things to be, forced down on people and people told what to do constantly. But by the end of his philosophical thought, he is leaning towards democracy. He believes that people should be given some right to exercise whatever they want to do. Acha. Now, before we get on to what Plato has to say about poetry, because generally the Republic is all about justice, how a perfect state is to be just. But towards the end, in the 10th book, which is the focus of our course, he is writing something about poetry as well, about literature as well. Ab us waqt jo literature ki only form available was poetry. They were only talking about poets, and he's not very fond of poets. He has very, very strong objections about poetry and the poets. So before we move on to what he has to say about poets and poetry, let us consider some of the terms that are very important when we want to consider what Socrates or Plato has to say about poetry. The first term that we have to consider here is aporia. I've already told you, but let's revise it with each other together. It's a state of helplessness and it's an instability to be processed. It's a state where you reach where everything you knew become futile. You're helpless, you do not know where to go from this particular stage. ये stage तब आती है जब आपके सारे belief systems question हो जाते हैं. You believed in beauty, but you found out beauty is not what you thought beauty was. Love is not what you thought love was. आपके सारे beliefs को एक particular चीज़ negate कर देती हैं. उस स्टेज पे पहुंच के आपको पता नहीं चलता कि अब आप किस चीज पे बिलीव करते हैं, एंड व्हाट टू गो, वेयर टू गो फ्रॉम दिस स्टेज. This particular stage of helplessness, this inability to proceed from this particular stage, you're locked, trapped हैं. आप एक पॉइंट पे खड़े हैं, आपको समझ नहीं आ रही आप लेफ्ट जाएं, राइट जाएं, आगे जाएं, पीछे जाएं, जिधर देख रहे हैं चारों तरफ अंधेरा है. You do not know where to go. There's not a single tiny ray of light coming from any directions. Complete intellectual blackdown. That's the state of aporia. अपोरिया की स्टेज जनरली सोक्रेटिस के डायलॉग्स में, डिस्कोर्स में तब आती थी जब ओपोनेंट्स उस स्टेज पे पहुंचते थे when there was no more questioning possible and there was no more answering possible. They were in a state of intellectual blackdown. Appetite. Appetite कॉमन से लफ्ज है, भूख को कहते हैं. But this is the largest aspect of soul according to Plato and according to Socrates. But as we are going to focus on Plato, क्योंकि हम बुक उसकी पढ़ रहे हैं तो हम इसलिए प्लेटो को रेफरेंस देंगे. लेकिन ये सारे कॉन्सेप्ट प्लेटो के पास भी सोक्रेटिस से आए हैं. तो जब आप ये समझ रहे हैं कि आप प्लेटो पढ़ रहे हैं तो आप ये भी समझ सकते हैं कि आप सोक्रेटिस की फिलॉसफी भी पढ़ रहे हैं, बिकॉज दिस वॉज द दैट वॉज द मेकिंग ग्राउंड फॉर हिम. अच्छा, सो वी वर ऑन एपेटाइट. Appetite is the largest aspect of your soul. It contains necessary desires which you should indulge. Necessary desires में आ जाता है खाना, पीना, सोना, desire to love, but you should indulge them. आपको भूख लगी है, you should eat. If you are hungry, if you're thirsty, you should drink something. If you want to go to sleep, you should sleep. You should indulge these desires of yours. You should indulge these appetites of yours. Your appetites to love, your appetite to eat, your appetite to sleep. They should be indulged. They should be met. They should be fed with. But there are desires which are known as unnecessary desires. Unnecessary desires, they should be limited. Like if you like to eat chocolate, okay, you want to indulge this desire, but you have to limit. आप दिन में 4 बार किट कैट की नहीं खा सकते, 5 भी नहीं खा सकते. एक खा ली, हफ्ते में 2 दफ़ा खा लिया, but you have to limit these unnecessary desires. The third kind of appetite is the unlawful desires, which should be suppressed at all cost. हमारे लगता है कि हमारी तो कोई unlawful desires नहीं है, पर हम सब के कुछ unlawful desires होती हैं. Like you want to have a big car, can you steal? No, you can't. You should suppress that urge. You can't kill your own children. You can't have incest. These are all your unlawful desires. You should suppress them at all cost. Appetite, according to Plato, is money-loving. Everything that is involved in this appetite, whether it's eating, drinking, anything for that matter, loving, having big houses, everything needs money. So this is money-loving appetite, is that part of your soul which requires money. It should be strictly controlled by reason. And reason's henchman, reason ka karinda, your spirit. Your spirit should be conditioned. So your reason should be conditioning your spirit. Your mind should be considering your spirit. Your logic should be considering your spirit, not to do these things. Spirit hai jo aapki desires ko control karega. You should be strong enough. Your conscience would be the voice which would tell you not to indulge in these unlawful desires or these unnecessary desires. Auxiliary. Plato की society, republic में 3 phases में divide होती है. Producers, auxiliaries and guardians. Auxiliaries जो होते हैं, they are the protectors. They're going to protect the producers and they're going to protect the guardians. Warcraft जिनका काम है, soldiers हैं, वो state की boundaries को भी defend करेंगे और वो state में रहने वाले लोगों को भी defend करेंगे. Belief. This is the second lowest grade of cognitive activity. Cognitive activity होती है आपका जो दिमाग की सोच की ability होती है. Belief is the second lowest grade of. अभी belief है blind faith. That's the second lowest. You do not consider it to be of a higher quality. Belief आमतौर पे blind होता है ना, आपने एक चीज़ पे believe कर लिया, आपने देखा ये कुर्सी यहाँ पड़ी हुई है, तो बस ये कुर्सी यहाँ पड़ी हुई है, आपका belief है कि ये कुर्सी यहाँ है, ठीक है? So you don't have to, evolve logically and to think reasonably to believe कि ये कुर्सी यहाँ पड़ी है. आपका बिलीफ है ये पढ़िए. हो सकता है in the physical realm it's there, but in the intelligible realm it's not there. Usually physical realm में जो चीज़ें होती हैं वो आपकी बिलीफ के साथ कंसर्न्ड होती हैं. Intelligible realm में चीज़ें क्वेश्चन होती हैं. So your belief is your blind faith. Elantris, we have already discussed Elantris, but let's do it once again. Elantris is Socrates' method of questioning. It's showing the interlocutors that the beliefs are contradictory and that they do not have knowledge about something which they thought they had knowledge of. I've already told you once before that he used to stand in the marketplace and he used to question people who used to stand around him, and he used to ask them the definition of any virtue. कोई भी virtue ले लेगा. जैसे वो उनसे पूछेगा कि what do you think is truth, and they're going to give a definition of truth. और जो वो definition देंगे truth की वो उसको question कर देगा, लेकिन तुम तो ये कहते थे. अच्छा, अब वो फिर सोचने पे मजबूर हो जाएंगे कि अच्छा हाँ truth तो हमारे ख्याल में ये था. फिर वो अपनी सारी दोबारा से कुव्वतें जमा करके एक और आंसर बनाते थे कि नहीं, अब हमारे ख्याल में truth ये होता है. वो एक और question डाल देता. This method of questioning was to force them to think that their views are contradictory. They also believe in black, but they also believe in white, and the black and white are contradictory. ये method वो इसलिए adopt करता था so that he could tell the opponents that what they think that they're knowledgeable, but they're not. They're taking things at the face value. Things are not as simple as that. Things are not black and white. Things are varied. They have multiple facets. They have a depth. They have a width. You should focus on the 3D image of the things. So Elantris was basically the method of questioning that Socrates adopted. Empirical. अगर आप में से किसी ने कभी मैथ्स पढ़ा था तो we focus on the empirical formula. Empirical होता है कि which you can get an answer to only and only if you go out and conduct a research. ठीक है, जैसे अगर आपने पता करना है कि पाकिस्तान में कितने लोगों के पास नोकिया का फ़ोन है, तो आपको उसके लिए घर से निकलना पड़ेगा. आपको लोगों का डाटा इकट्ठा करना पड़ेगा. एक सैंपल इकट्ठा करेंगे, उन लोगों से क्वेश्चन करेंगे, उनके फ़ोन्स देखेंगे और फिर फाइनली आप अपना आंसर पे पहुंचेंगे. ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चन जो है ना कि पाकिस्तान में कितने लोगों के पास नोकिया का फ़ोन है इज़ एन एम्पेरिकल क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, लेकिन क्वेश्चन जिसमें मैं कहूँ कि 2 + 2 = 4, इट्स नॉट एन एम्पेरिकल क्वेश्चन. इसका आंसर आप घर बैठ के भी दे सकते हैं. Why? Because it just needs your mathematical information, mathematical knowledge. You just have to apply the knowledge that you have in order to get the answer of this question, that whether 2 + 2 = 4 or not, or is it equal to 5 or whatever. But for the answer of a question which you have to go out and make a research, that question is known as empirical investigation or empirical question. You have to go out and investigate in the world. Epistemology. The branch of philosophy that is concerned with knowledge, which is concerned with belief, which is concerned with thought. जो कुछ भी आप सोच रहे हैं, जो कुछ भी आप believe करते हैं, जो कुछ भी आप जानते हैं, जो भी आपका thought system है, जो भी आपका intellectual system है, आपका belief system है, सब कुछ इस heading के अंदर आते हैं epistemology के. आप क्या सोच रहे हैं, आप क्या करते हैं, आप किस चीज़ पे बिलीव करते हैं, ये सब एपिस्टेमोलॉजी के अंडर आएंगे. किसी ने भी इसको पढ़ना है तो आपकी सारी अंदर की बातें उसको पता चल जाएंगी. क्वेश्चंस इट डील्स विद हाउ वी नो एनीथिंग, कैन वी नो एनीथिंग, व्हाई डू वी बिलीव सर्टेन थिंग्स, व्हाट इज नॉलेज, व्हाट इज ट्रूथ, व्हाट इज लाइफ. All these philosophical questions. Epistemology is basically a branch of metaphysics here. It's dealing with the philosophical questions of life, the nature of soul, the nature of life, the nature of love, the nature of beauty, the nature of truth, the nature of justice, why, how, what. All these questions, they would come under the heading of epistemology. Form. Solidly, cheez kaisi hai? The reality beyond reality, which comprises of absolute entities which are called forms, like beauty, redness, sourness. Only forms can be attained or can be the object of knowledge. Forms are the only things we can know about. An apple is red. There is a redness about the apple. the apple is sweet. There's a sweetness about the apple. आपके पास सिर्फ knowledge of redness है, आपके पास सिर्फ knowledge of sweetness है. You have this knowledge of pain. These are the forms that exist. These are the absolute entities. Apple is not the absolute entity. The redness of the apple and the sweetness of the apple is the absolute identity. Pain you feel is the absolute identity. It's the absolute entity, absolute thing, absolute form. ये चीज़ है जो आपका knowledge है. You know the redness, this is your knowledge. You know the sweetness, this is your knowledge. You know there's a thing known as truthfulness, you know that not. This is your knowledge. This is the table. There's a certain tableness about this table. The tableness that you know is your knowledge. This table, whether it exists or it does not exist, this is not your knowledge. Form deals with the true knowledge, the objective knowledge. ये उस क्वेश्चन को आंसर करता है जो सोफिस्ट करते थे कि there is no absolute knowledge. The knowledge of forms is the absolute knowledge. Knowing the entity, the real entity, that is the knowledge. Form of the good. And just look at that, it's under inverted commas. It's the most important thing. Your entire existence, the existence of human beings, it depends upon this, the good, the virtue of good. What is good? This is the only thing we should know. This is the capacity to know. So our belief is that we all were born on the nature of God. We all are essentially good. This is the source of our intelligibility. Basically, we are good. Our basic intelligence, our basic reason to know, our basic ability to know something, it is based on this, the good. It is responsible for all the existence. It brings all the entities into existence. This is what the truth is. The good is the truth. This is the basic entity. This is the source. God is the good. Why? Because He is the one who's making all these things possible. He is the one who's making all the creation possible. This is the most important thing that you know. You will reach this reason, you will reach this point, you will come to know that this is this ability to know the good. You will become the philosopher king. This is the height of your philosophical ability. जब आप ये जान लें, जब कोई भी स्टूडेंट प्लेटो की रिपब्लिक में ये जान लेता था कि the good is the end, that's absolute knowledge, absolute truth, then and then he would become the philosopher king. Guardians, we have discussed कि प्लेटो की रिपब्लिक में 3 तरह के लोग होते थे. Auxiliaries होते थे, producers होते थे और guardians होते थे. The guardians were responsible for ruling the city. They were the aristocratic branch. हमारे यहाँ अगर आप concept लेते हैं, these were chosen from among the auxiliaries. जो सिपाही होते थे, जो warcraft के experts होते थे, उनमें से guardians को choose किया जाता था. यानी कि उनमें से जो ऊपर के level पे लोग आते होंगे या जो philosophically advanced होते होंगे, जिनकी reason, logic and the ability to know the good was good, they were chosen to become the guardians. And when someone reached that stage where they knew the absolute knowledge and the absolute truth, they became the guardians, they became the philosopher kings. Okay, imagination. This concerns with what they think about artists, about poets, Plato especially. He believes this is the lowest form of cognitive ability. We think if we are imaginative, we consider ourselves to be greatly intellectual and highly aesthetic. But Plato believed that this is the lowest form of cognitive ability. आप अपने दिमाग का सही इस्तेमाल नहीं कर रहे. The ability that God has given you is not used to its extreme capability if you are being imaginative. This is the lowest form. This is the easiest use you could put your mind to. Someone in the state of imagination would form his ideas from products of arts like poets in Plato's times. आप अपने इर्द गिर्द की चीज़ों को देखते हैं, उससे इंस्पिरेशन लेते हैं और फिर आप एक पीस ऑफ आर्ट क्रिएट कर देते हैं. This is what we do, this is what the painters do, this is what the writers do, this is what the poets do. Don't they? They have inspirations, ठीक है? आप किसी famous dress designer को देखते हैं, उसका इंटरव्यू सुनते हैं, आप उससे पूछते हैं आपकी इंस्पिरेशन क्या थी, और वो कहती मैं मुगल आर्ट से इंस्पायर्ड हूँ. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि उसकी इमेजिनेशन कोई इतना मुश्किल काम नहीं है. You have seen something that is around you, you have taken an inspiration from that something, and then you produced it. It means that you imitated it. सो प्लेटो भी कुछ ना गलत भी नहीं कहता जब वो ये कहता है कि दिस इज जस्ट एन इमिटेशन, दिस इज द लोएस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ कॉग्निटिव एबिलिटी. He is not very much in favor of people with imagination. He says that these people, they do not think for themselves. They take the idea of the world around them, they form their ideas about themselves and whatever is happening in the world on the basis of the things around them. वो उनसे इंस्पिरेशन लेते, उनका ख्याल होता है कि जो सब कुछ आगे पीछे नजर आ रहा है यही सच है, और यही सच, इसी सच की बेसिस पे they form the ideas, they form their own philosophies. So he's not very much impressed by people with imagination, though we consider people with imagination to be, you know, very poetic and very literary and very aesthetically sound, but he doesn't. Instrumental reason. Reason is the instrument. It should be used for analysis. It should be the mean to an end. It should be a mean for analysis. So reason is used by spirit, it's used by the person to analyze the form and the absolute truth, the absolute knowledge. Intelligible realm. कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो आपके सामने एग्जिस्ट कर रही हैं. ये कुर्सी एग्जिस्ट कर रही है, ये टेबल एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, ये कंप्यूटर एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, मैं एग्जिस्ट कर रही हूँ. दे आर थिंग्स दैट एग्जिस्ट which you can see, but the things that can be invisible to the eye as such, these things, they belong to the intelligible realm. The intelligible realm cannot be sensed. You cannot touch it. You can touch the table, you cannot touch the hardness of the table. You can touch the apple, you cannot touch the redness of the apple. You can eat the apple, you can feel the sweet, but you cannot touch the sweetness. You get me? You can touch this table, but you cannot, you know, touch the hardness of the table. I've already given this example to you. But the things in the intelligible realm can be sensed only with the help of your intellect, not with the physical senses, not with the sense of touch, not with the sense of smell, not with the sense of, you know, taste, with sight, with hearing. आपकी grasp में नहीं आएंगी. The only way you could grasp them, you can, you know, understand them is by using your intellect. Your intellect only is going to help you understand things that are beyond your physical realm, that is beyond your physical reach. Knowledge. We know what knowledge is. We have studied general knowledge when we were young, but knowledge is the original, unchanging, universal truths. क्या है चीज़ें? Knowledge ये नहीं है कि आपको पता हो कि पाकिस्तान का रकबा कितना है और दुनिया में कितने कॉन्टिनेंट्स हैं. Knowledge universal truths पे बेस करता है. आपको पता होना चाहिए what is moral, what is immoral, what is truth, what is lie, what is honesty, what is beauty, what is virtue, what is goodness. All these things, they tell you what a real knowledge is. Knowledge वो नहीं है जो बुक्स में है. Knowledge वो नहीं है जिसकी हमें डिग्री मिलती है. Knowledge वो है जो आपकी यूनिवर्सल सच्चाइयों पे, आफाकी सच्चाइयों पे मबनी है. Knowledge is you knowing what good actually is. Your ability to know the absolute truth is the knowledge that you have. It's your ability, it's your capacity to know the absolute truths. Lovers of sights and sounds. That's again Plato making fun of us. He says that we are pseudo-intellectuals. We like things that are around us. We get impressed by them. हमारी aesthetics अच्छी हैं, fine-tuned हैं. We like color. We like the beauty of nature. We appreciate a beautiful tree. We appreciate the flowers growing or blooming in the spring. We are lovers of sound. We're lovers of sights. We appreciate things for beauty, the physical beauty, the outward beauty, but we do not realize the form of beauty. Very, very difficult concept to grasp. What is the form of beauty? Beauty is something beyond than what appears or what is grasped by the sense of sight or the sense of touch. If you know, truly know what the sense of beauty is, then you are a knowledgeable person. But we are the lovers of sounds and sights. We focus on the outward beauty, what appears to us. They have no knowledge. We have no knowledge. We just have opinions. We just have taste for that matter, जिसको आजकल के ज़माने में taste कहा जाता है. हम साहिब ज़ौक़ हैं. हमें पता है कि क्या चीज़ अच्छी है और क्या चीज़ बुरी है. हमें पता है कि इस तरह की कमीज़ आजकल चल रही है तो हमें लंबी कमीज़ पहनी. We know that to listen to certain singer is good taste. We have opinions about things. We do not know in apostrophe, in inverted commas. We do not know. We are just the lovers of sights and sounds. Superficial लोग हैं, surface पे चीज़ों को देखते हैं, depth में जाने की हमारे में ability नहीं है. That's what he said. I'm not saying it. Metaphysics. Metaphysics क्या होती है जी? Metaphysics, we're familiar with the metaphysical poets, but this is different. It's a branch of philosophy that's going to focus on the questions about everything that is there in the world. Why are we here? What is the nature of the things? What is the nature of the soul? Epistemology की इसकी एक branch है जो आपसे basic questions about your life करेगी. It's going to ask you about the nature of the universe, about the nature of man, the nature of truth, the nature of beauty, the nature of virtue, the nature of good, the nature of soul. Why the soul is being, put in a body, why would be questioned, why would we be answered, whatever is happening in this world, in this universe, is a concern of metaphysics. Pleonexia, it's a desire to have more, lalach, hirs, havas, a yearning for more power, it's a yearning for more money. This was a common thing among most of the human beings in ancient times. This is something that is very common in human beings in the present times as well. We are like that. We like to have more money. We like to have more power. Though we do claim that, नहीं, हमें ज़्यादा पैसा नहीं चाहिए. नहीं, हमें ज़्यादा power नहीं चाहिए. But we would readily give our right arm and our right leg as well if we are being made the Prime Minister of Pakistan, or if we are being given a lot of money for that. We would do that. So this term is pleonexia. Reason, we are familiar with this. We know what reason is. We know what logic is. It's being reasonable, It's a part of our soul which is going to lust after truth. Yes, there is a part of our soul that is good as well. There's a part of our soul that wants to, yearn for truth, that wants truth. ठीक है, हमारे अंदर गलत चीज़ें भी हैं. There are unlimited desires and there are unlawful desires, a part of our soul. There is appetite there, but there's reason there in our soul as well. It's that part of our soul which is going to lust after truth, which wants to know what is true, the goodness, the good. What they want to know that. Reason is that part of your soul. It's of all sorts of all philosophical desire in us. अगर कभी आपको ये ख्वाहिश आपके अंदर जागे and you want to know what are we, why have we been put on this earth, your reason is awake at that time. Your reason is trying to find out the truth about your existence. Do not shut it down. Let it think. Let it continue to think. Now we have sensible particulars. Sensible वो वाला sensible नहीं है यहाँ पे समझदारी वाला, बल्कि sensible वो sensible है जो आपकी senses को touch करके जिसको आप feel कर सकें. These are the trees and these are the things that we can sense. These are the things that undergo a change over a period of time. Truth हमेशा truth रहेगा. Beauty would stay to be beauty. They are essential things that would remain the same. They are not sensible particulars. But there are things which would change over a period of time. Trees would wither, trees would grow and they would wither. Flowers would come into bloom and they will wilt. Sensible particles are things that are present in our society, in things in the world around us, in the physical world. We can touch them, we can feel them, we can taste them, we can hear them. They change with the passage of time. So we come to an end here. These are the terms that we're going to focus while we are trying to study whatever Plato is going to say about poets and about poetry in general, trying to make us feel as if the existence of all literature and all poetry is futile. Let's do a recap of what we have studied so far. Okay, we were started with the lecture with the discussion of Plato's life in the beginning. Plato was born in Athens in 428 BC, and he belonged to an aristocratic family, and he had political aspirations. But because of certain things that happened after the Peloponnesian War, the groups that came into power were not of the same taste as Plato was. So he said that he's not going to follow his political aspirations. Besides, they were a little democratic, and because of the democratics, they could not question certain things. But what happened was that Socrates, who was talking against them, was, trying to make people think that this is not the right thing that they're doing, the Sophists. So he was questioned. He was put in the front of a jury of 500 Athenians, and he was questioned for whatever was he was doing, and he was sentenced to death. And the accusations that were made on him was that he was not recognizing the gods of the city. He was inventing new deities, and he was trying to make the youth of Athens corrupt. He was corrupting the youth of Athens. So for this reason, he was sentenced to death. The real reason for putting putting Socrates to death was because he was trying to stimulate the citizens of Athens into thinking about their lives. Why? Because what happened was after the war with the Spartans, जो democracy बनी, उन्होंने कहा कि warcraft तो इतनी important नहीं रह गई है. You should develop the skills of oration. You should develop the skills of persuasiveness. And so Sophists, they came into being. The Sophists कौन थे? Sophists were the people who were mercenary teachers. They used to teach a group of students, or anyone for that matter, who would come to them with a little amount of money. Not little, I'm sorry for that. With amount of money, who were able to pay them. So whoever comes to them and pay them, they would teach them the art of persuasiveness, or the art of logic, the art of rhetorics. These people, the Sophists, they were not very, moral. They didn't believe in morality for that matter. They said that whatever happens, you should always focus on whatever can help you in getting wherever you want. They preferred persuasiveness over truth. They said that immorality is a virtue. Why? Because it's going to help you in getting ahead in life, in getting ahead in competition. It's going to be good for you. They said that morality is it's a handicap, because it's going to stop you from usurping, from depriving a person from his right. If you're powerful, you have the right to exploit someone who's weaker than you. So when Socrates listened to these things going on in his society, he was shocked by their moral complacency. He could not let this happen. He could not let the Sophists make the citizens of Athens go into a complacent haze. He wanted them to stop. So what he did was he started this conversations in the marketplace, and he would question the people, and he would ask the people to think about whatever they have been believing in so far. When he was sentenced to death, what happened was that Plato carried on. How did he carry on? He formed an academy. He said it was necessary to educate the youth, and for educating the youth, the only possibility was to form an academy. और ये academy चलती रही Athens में for 912 years. This was the first model that is available as a Western university. इसमें उसने इसकी philosophy की, Plato की philosophy के 3 parts को में आप divide कर सकते हैं, जो उसने academy में पढ़ाया. पहला जो early period था, वो तो Socrates से बहुत ज़्यादा influence था. Why? Because he was a mentor, of course, and he was closely following his teachings. जो middle period था, उसमें Plato refined his style. He drifted a little away from Socrates, and he changed the way the things were presented. He also, made metaphysics and epistemology his main concerns. The later period of his works is, very complicated, and we do not really know what happened during this period of time, but we know this much, that he shifted from dictatorship to democracy. He leaned towards democracy. And the topics that he would discuss during the later period of his philosophy, they're very controversial and they're very difficult. And besides, we do not have much record of whatever happened during that period of time. So these things give you a background of what was going on in the Greek period of philosophy. So we are going to start the next lecture from the point where we are going to discuss the 10th book of the Republic. The 10th book is nearing towards the end of Republic, and here he is going to give you an idea about why he thinks poets should be banned from the Republic. Republic was the ideal state that he wanted for his people, and he said that poets should be thrown out. They should be, सरहदों से बाहर निकाल दो उनको, दोबारा अंदर ना आने दो. Why? We're going to find out in the next lecture.